Good morning. It's Friday, the 5th of February, and it actually is. I'm not recording this in advance. So it's Friday. It means I go through the answers. I have to say, there were several people on Thursday said they would submit answers, so I've been waiting. But no one did, which is, at least I don't think anybody did. No one did, which is a bit of a shame, but it doesn't matter. We'll go through the answers now and we'll see how we did. So we're there, and I do that, and once again, I don't know these in advance, so I'm going to mark them as we go. At which station did some HS2 rebellion protesters dig a tunnel to escape arrest? It was Euston. At least 5 campaigners have refused to leave tunnels. Officials have said they're at risk of suffocating or drowning. That's not entirely untrue. But true or false? Euston was B. True or false? Last week, the world reached a tragic milestone of 100 million people infected with the coronavirus. Whichever way around, this is bad. It's true. It seemed unimaginable 12 months ago, and sadly, more than 100,000 people have now died in the UK. It's anger-inducing, really. You'd think that, well... Oops. What is the name of the company that has been at the centre of a highly unusual share trading on Wall Street? Well, it's not highly unusual, it's just a bit different. I've seen the memes. It was GameStop. So, well done. That was nice and simple. It's not just amateurs, there's people like Elon Musk as well, but it's evidence of how hedge funds trying to short shares, which is a tactic they use, might not be a good way of doing things, and basically it's having a go at that. So, that's it. And as a consequence, a lot of platforms have stopped selling shares in it because, oh noes, they're harming the profits of big companies. What is the name of this ancient chalk figure that's been in the news? I didn't know this one, and it is the Long Man of Wilmington. I was unaware. I assumed it was a giant. Someone had painted a face mask covering. While it may have been done in humour, the actions are unacceptable. The image was once thought to be from the Iron Age, but it was probably cut in the 1700s. So there you go. That was a... no, we didn't get that one. That's our first fail. What action by the European Union has been criticised by the World Health Organization? They've introduced controls over exporting coronavirus vaccines made in the EU. Basically, it's trying to keep vaccines in the EU that have been ordered by the EU. It's what's called vaccine nationalism, and it could backfire spectacularly if other countries around the world aren't vaccinated. However, this measure was designed to stop other rich nations taking their vaccines from the EU. So, I don't know. It's all a bit pap. In which sport would you find teams like the Rangers, Oilers and Maple Leafs competing for the Stanley Cup? I'm assuming a Canadian reference, and Reese tells me it is, so I'm going to agree with him, and it's ice hockey. And there's the Canadian reference, but it's actually America. Presumably that will be the United States of America, given that Canada is also in America. What unusual discovery did a 4-year-old girl make on a beach in Wales last week? I knew this one. It was a fossilised footprint. I had a really teeny tiny one from a frog on a really teeny tiny bit of stone, and it was a fossilised footprint. I was so proud of myself, and I looked after it, and then we moved, and I still looked after it. Then I went to university, and I went home, and it had gone. To this day, I have no idea what happened to it. It's probably my own fault. It was in Bendrix Bay. It's 220 million years old and was preserved in mud. That's kind of cool. I like dinosaur stuff. Next one. What event is this UK team currently racing in? It is the America's Cup. I did not know that. So, well done, Reese, for knowing that. And it's set to face Italy's Prada racing team. Really, Prada? Seal face Team New Zealand in the America's Cup final. Well, there we go. Foiling by raising the hulls out of the water so they can go quicker. Well, there you go. The Environment Minister, that's Gove, has approved a plan to try and introduce birth control to reduce numbers of which animal in the UK? It's grey squirrels. Not badgers, I'm afraid. Badgers are being culled. They're not being spayed. So that's our second fail. This is the time of year that marks the world's largest human migration. What event in China causes it? I'm sure this has been the answer to a previous question, but I might be wrong. It is, in fact, the Spring Festival. We had a three-way tie on this one. Everyone went with different things. I'm going to put that down, unfortunately, as a fail. But there you go, it's Spring Festival. Two customers in California recently brought a lawsuit against Subway, claiming that its tuna's not made of tuna. They show the tuna is a mixture of various concoctions that do not constitute tuna, yet have been blended together by defendants to imitate the appearance of tuna. Well, once being sued for selling sandwiches that were not footlongs but 11.5 inches instead. Oh, really? Ireland's Supreme Court ruled that their rolls contain too much sugar to meet Ireland's definition of a staple bread, which is true. Their rolls are phenomenally unhealthy. So there we go. It's tuna's not made with tuna. I think I saw a meme about that. What is the occupation of these protesters who stormed India's famous Red Fort last week? It is farmers! A rally against agricultural reforms in India turned violent. Basically, it was about the sale of patented, genetically altered crops that's basically causing a lot of issue. What is the most populated country in Africa? It is Nigeria, with 211 million people living within it. It's the seventh largest population in the world. Egypt has over 100 million, while South Africa's population is around 60 million. That means South Africa has a roughly similar sized population to the UK, despite being over 6 times larger. Ethiopia and the Democratic Republic of Congo are Africa's second and third most populated countries, respectively, but bear in mind that population density plays a role there. Authorities have been investigating. Wait, we got that one. Authorities have been investigating and finding people for various lockdown breaches in recent weeks, which the following was not one. It was filming a flash mob dance for YouTube on the steps of St Paul's Cathedral. 2 men organised a mass snowball fight involving hundreds of people in Leeds, have each been fined £10,000, while in Manchester a man was jailed after using a second-hand ambulance and its flashing lights to take a family supermarket shopping. Really? Really? That's depressing on so many levels, I don't even know where to begin. The United Nations has ruled that the United Kingdom has no ownership rights over the Chagos Islands and the Mauritius. In which ocean would you find these islands? It is the Indian Ocean. They should have been handed back, but they weren't. They were used for defence purposes in the Cold War. Which country is this flag? You all got this one. It's Brazil. Brazil! Because of course it is. I mean, seriously, how did you not know that? In which of the following European countries did the enforcement of an official curfew spark their worst riots in 40 years? It was the Netherlands. There's a curfew from 9 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. The coronavirus curfew. Riots occurred in Amsterdam as well as the port city of Rotterdam. I can't imagine why. They've both got fairly thriving nightlife scenes. Also Amersfoort and the small southern city of Geleen. Near Maastricht. Well, there we go. Some exemptions from the curfew are allowed, for example, for people having to work, attend funerals or walk their dogs, on condition they present a certificate. Well, there we go. I bet they don't have 100,000 people dead. That was A. In what year did the first person walk on the moon? Oh, there was supposed to be a 1989, but the error meant that nobody would guess that because you knew it was wrong. And of course it was 1969. You all got that one. Buzz Aldrin was the second man. Michael Collins had to remain on board the command module. That must have been a very lonely 21 hours. The UK's unemployment rate rose as coronavirus continued to hit the jobs market. Well, obviously. What is the current rate of unemployment? There's no nice answer to this one. They're all depressing. Oh, it's only 5%. I say only 5%. That's 1.72 million people out of work, compared to 1.3 million last year. Though, interestingly, it's not that much higher, but then the government do change how they count people out of work regularly in order to keep the numbers down. Yes, it doesn't include people who are retired or choose not to be employed. That's an interesting phrase, isn't it? I'm not sure many people choose not to be employed, but apparently choices include going to university, being in education, or being under the age of 21. Question 20. What is the name of this singer who's been accused of breaking COVID rules? I'll be honest, I have no idea who I'm looking at here. It was Rita Ora. Well, there we go. She flew to Egypt for a private performance on the 21st of November. On her return the following day, she should have isolated for 2 weeks. Instead, she threw a party in London. According to the police, they offered a restaurant £5,000 to break lockdown rules for her 30th birthday and asked the CCTV cameras to be turned off. Well, there you go. Rich people always believing that money will get you anything, and largely it does. In which case, we don't have that amount of money. But we do have a lovely day ahead. Have a great one. I hope it goes well. This is the end of week 5. Is it week 5 or week 6? I've lost track. Doesn't matter. There's only one more week before half term. I know. There is some news coming out slowly. I shan't try and preempt it about mocks and what have you, but it's all dependent on when we come back and when the government announce that. And that'll be announced on February the 22nd, whether or not we're coming back on the 8th of March. I'm not sure what this obsession with dates is. I would prefer markers. When deaths have reached this many, then we can go back to school 2 weeks after that. That would make more sense to me, but we're doing it on dates. We do know that school will endeavour to give you some time once you get back before we throw ourselves into mocks. That's good news. And we also know that the government have asked for mid-June for us to submit your grades. So that does mean there's a bit of a tight turnaround. So there'll be a lot of assessment, but don't worry, it's designed to be positive, supportive and helpful. At the end of the day, we're looking for things to confirm what we already know. So if you have a bad day or you have a bad assessment, submit it anyway for the learning process. It will improve your understanding, and even if it's low, we're not going to then use that to, pull your grade down. We're not heartless gits. Not totally. And so we're on your side. Don't worry. Any assessment, any help is amazing, because we will find stuff in there to back up what we know and be able to prove it if anyone comes and asks. That's why we ask for them. So keep that in mind. Any assessment you're doing, any assessment you're asked to do your best. And don't worry if it's not very good at the end of it. It will have elements that will help us make our decisions. So you can't make things worse. Basically, you can only help yourselves. And if you have been, thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely Friday, have a fantastic weekend, and I shall see you on Monday for the final week of this half term.